Hello, friends. Welcome to the Wake Up with Gratitude podcast. I'm your host, Julie Boye, and today I am bringing a very special new friend to the podcast. Please welcome Star Ladin.
Hi.
Oh, I'm very, very excited to have you on the podcast today. So, Star is the creator of a beautiful card deck called Star's What Would Love Do? And she is on a mission to help you to intentionally choose to make love a habit. Now, she lives on an avocado farm in Southern California, and we're definitely going to talk about that because I'm obsessed with avocados. With her two amazing kids, her spouse, their two dogs. She is the founder of the STARS method. She gives so much to the community. We met through Instagram. I actually reached out and said, I really think that you and I should be having a conversation on the podcast as soon as I saw what she was doing with this beautiful deck of cards. So, Star, just so happy to have you here with us today. And I know it's probably a really long journey, but I read the book that comes with the card deck, and I'd love it if you could kind of share maybe a little bit of what brought you to having this mission of this intentional choosing to make love a habit.
Yeah, no, it's a journey. It was a journey. It's still a journey, right? Um, and thank you for reading the book. It's, meant to be kind of taken in small bite-sized pieces. But I think like anything, life events really, they change us, right? Especially the transformational critical junctures of life where maybe something was really tragic or it just shifted things forever. And this was really my healing journey. So I created it because I wanted to look back at some things in my early 40s that I was healing from and a tragedy that happened in my family. And me trying to look back and make sense of some habits that I had created in my life, some that weren't serving me, some that were, and where they came from. So for me, that's really the catalyst that started the seeds of this. So that happened for me in fifth grade, but it wasn't until I was in my 40s that I really started to dig deep into that. So that was really how I came about, this process. And then oh boy, I think this process took me 7.5 years, 10 total from the thinking idea stage. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if that answers your question, but it was like, I think we all have like
Yeah.
times, right? Times,
Yeah.
let's just say, yeah. So
Okay, so I'm curious, like, what were you doing before this? Like, is this something that you were doing kind of because if it was a process that was over 10 years, you were being a parent, being a homeschool
yeah,
parent, what was kind of going
yeah.
on before then?
Well, lots of things. So I started my career after I graduated from college and university as a teacher. So that's really what I am as a teacher. Um, but I ended up not teaching children other than my junior high and high school experience with my student teaching, and went into sales. And I went into the media, had a many-year stint with working in radio, behind the scenes in sales, business development, and the internet. I did some stuff with, .com stuff in the day, and then ended up starting my own ad agency where I did full service. So really, I did that for 10 years. I had 11 employees. I had all the local kind of clients, and I just got burnt out. Really, to be honest with you, I launched a magazine trying to shift and change for entrepreneurs and started teaching like the things that I love to do, which was strategy. And I did strategy in business for a long, long time. And then I just said, there's got to be a better way. That question has really led me in a lot of beautiful places where it's like, I'm not so loving where I'm at, and I got to shift some things. And, two children and trying to run a business. And my husband had a business at the time that, we've since sold. But it's like life sometimes, like this picture in our head of what we think our life will be. And we strive and we work and we achieve and we attain. And then all of a sudden we're like, wait a minute, this doesn't feel anything like I thought it would. I got to reassess here. Right. So it was around that time where the reassessing started and the journey began for Stars What Would Love Do. So yeah. And I was very successful at it. I did very well at it from all standard measurements of success. And yet I was just really miserable. And I was like, what is going on? Like, I just want something else. So yeah, that was my journey to find happiness in another direction. So
What you said there is just, we need to pause for a moment on that, which is you were successful by all like traditional accounts, right? You had strived and achieved, and you looked around and went, not sure this is what I wanted, not sure I'm happy. And then you took the courageous leap to make that change. For you, was it a moment, or was it like over time you just started to realize less and less of this and I want to do more and more of this?
well, I talk about this in Stars What Would Love Do and the system that I created from it. But what I look, because hindsight is always 2020. My
Ironically.
mom used to say that all the time to me. And I was like, what? And then now I'm like, yeah. So it was like our bodies never lie. And the wisdom of our bodies is such a beautiful thing. I think children are very good at this, right? And I know that you're really into homeschooling, and I think it was the wisdom of my son who shared with me about his truth that made me homeschool him. But I think that it's like, just because someone else prescribes something and it's like the thing that you are supposed to want, it doesn't mean that it is the thing that make me happy or you happy. Like what makes me happy may make other people very like some people like to live in the middle of the city. I like to be around country and beauty and nature, and I can see two neighbors, that's good for me, right? But other people are like, no way, it's creepy out here. Like I don't want to be around, it gets too dark out here.
Oh,
So
I'm on your team. I'm on team nature. My daughter is on team extreme nature. She wants us to own a horse ranch. I'm like, I'm not ready for that just yet. I prefer like an ocean view home that's close to the beach. The two don't really, we actually here, we could be close to the beach and have a small family like ranch at some point. But I feel you on that. I don't feel good in the city. I've never felt good in the city. It's just not the right place for me. And, my sister is the opposite. Like
yeah.
she needs to be closer to the city. She needs to have access to all these things like that. We're just so different in that way. Okay. So then how do you end up living on an avocado farm?
Oh, okay. So let me time travel with you a little bit. So
Okay.
take you back to, we've been in the house, like 18 years now. So take me back. So I've been married 21. We're married and we're expecting to plan for the second baby. So my son, they're 3.5 years or like 3 years apart. And I had my office in town in a like 4-story high rise. And I remember thinking to myself, like one of the reasons I started my own business instead of working in New York and Boston and LA in these high rises with very male dominating kind of energy and go, go, go. It was like, I couldn't even open a window. I was like, I have to be able to open a window. Right. Well, I was closer, but in town, it was still in the 4th story. So I said to my husband, Jim, I'm like, hey, honey, like, I don't know how I'm going to make this balance work between breastfeeding and figuring out the balance and Spencer and school. And I think we need to move the office home. And so I can get Spencer to school and I can breastfeed Lily and like work in the same spot. So we need a house that has a guest house that I can convert to every single person. This was, mid early 2000s. So this technology was not quite up where we are now, where it's so easy to work from home. And I had a lot of mentors and I was in a very male dominated business, and most of my mentors were men much older than me. And they're like, Star, that is business suicide. Moving your business home, it's not professional, it's this or that. And I was like, if I'm
Star just froze for those watching the video. So just to bring us back where we were, you mentioned that you were working in a male dominated industry where you were told if you brought your business home, that would be business suicide. But
Yeah.
then,
Yes. Business. It was like, that's what was told me. And I was like, cancel, clear, cancel, clear, cancel, clear. No, it's not. I'm like, if they don't want to do business with me, then they're not my client. I'm done. Like, I have to be, my family's first. So by some divine intervention, I had seen this ranch house and some land, and then it was like perfect for us. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And then all of a sudden my mom's like, I saw the perfect house for you in the neighborhood. And I'm like, okay. And it was the same house. We went 17 days later, we were like moved in. So
wow.
it had a guest house, and everybody that worked for me at the time, we like, you know, here we were. So, and I was pregnant, and literally like all within like 30 days, I was pregnant. And I was like, couldn't even negotiate the deal with my husband. I was so like, sick with pregnancy stuff. And I go, if it's meant to be, honey, you'll figure it out. And he figured it out. And there we are. It was like, it was a whirlwind. And so that exactly what happened. Like, I'm in um, my office, which happens to be the guest house. And we're here. And it's like, it's really served us well, especially during this last 2020, where everybody needed their own little spaces. So yeah, it happened. And I was like, I've got to do it the way that it works for my truth, right? My truth. And I really was just like, that's it. And when you're pregnant, it's like you're nesting and all that. So that was a huge leap of faith. Still very early in me building the business, but I did it, and I didn't look back. And it was the best decision. I had to find people to fill my office space in town and all of that. But it was like, when there's a will, there's a way. Yeah.
If you're listening to the podcast, I encourage you to like go back like a minute and a half and just listen to, you just packed like a whole lifetime of wisdom in about 90 seconds of podcast interview. And I literally don't know how you came into my life through Instagram. I don't know how I found you, but there's a reason why we connected.
Really, another divine
Oh my
intervention
gosh.
happening all the time.
And it's so interesting. And I was like, are you open to like sending me a box of your cards so that I can see if it fits for us? I'm like laughing now. I'm like, of course we're meant to connect.
Of
Okay,
course.
listen, if you're listening to the podcast, I will make sure that I have the YouTube video link for you, because I'm going to just hold up this beautiful box. Look at this box. It's so gorgeous. I know you're thinking I'm only listening, but those are for the video people. And then I love that I didn't know this. So you made it into a trifold.
Yes. It's like a tent, like a frame a pop-up
Right.
premium frame. And, it was so funny because my background in marketing, right?
Right. Okay.
I had always marketed other people's products, and I was good at it. I loved doing it. I loved the creative process. I had a creative team that, knew the nuts and bolts of all stuff, but
just had a jumper card. Okay.
Oh boy, what
card.
jump?
Okay. So I was going to pick a card, but I had a jumper when I tried to shuffle. First of all, look at this art. I know, again, you can't see it if you're in your podcast, and I feel bad for you. You need to come up to YouTube. But first of all, this art. So tell me about try and describe as best as you can. What's the symbolism? Each card has a different heart on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a story behind that.
Well, I painted all of them. So I don't know what year it was. People keep asking me this. I should know it. It was probably like in 2007.
Okay.
No, I don't know, 2012, whatever. Does it even matter? Whenever it was, it was my birthday. It was August. And my husband, Jim, and I are like, my whole family we're arty farties over here. Okay. And he goes, what do you want to do for your birthday? I'm like, well, I always love to go to the beach, but I go, today I want to go to the beach and I want to stop. I had a dream that I'm supposed to paint 108 hearts. And I'm supposed to try watercolor, which I was really into art always, but I had never really spent much time with watercolors. And I was like, this looks fun. So I want to do it. So literally I spent like 2 months at the kitchen table, like, and on my birthday, and, since like into September, painting hearts. And I had no idea what I was supposed to do with them. So I painted them. At the time I was running, I did business strategy for 10 years after I had the ad agency, and I only did strategy. And so I gave some of them away to some of my clients at the time. And I was like, yeah, that felt right, but I think I'm supposed to hang on to these. So I'm one that really is good at listening to the whispers that come through, right? And so, well, you know, really good at it's as I've gotten older, for sure. I don't question. I'm like, okay, I trust. So that was how I did the art. And it actually started out to be two separate projects. It started out to be like, I thought I was going to write a book, and then I wrote the book, and I was like, yeah, this is good. Correct what I want to share. But I'm like, it's a little boring. And then I started writing it again. I go, I got to make this a little shorter. People's attention spans, they're like, my whole family is ADD and dyslexic and RD and all sorts of things. So like, attention is big in our house, and you don't get much of it like for long. So I was like, I need to do this fun. So I had started a deck of cards without images. I had written them in 2011. And then I was going to have some other images with them, but I just pushed it aside because I was like, not. And then it dawned on me that I need to combine the two projects. Like, I have these hearts. I had, like, it was kind of three projects. I had this card thing that I had done. It was going to be superheroes or something like that. And then I had the hearts, and then I had the book, and I'm like, I just need to make it all into one and make this like fun. So, I mean, that's kind of how, like, on a short term, it just like was like, this would be interesting, like a practice that I could practice love, like in a heartbeat, use it in my parenting, which I do a lot, use it in my relationships, use it in work and business. Like it's like for all ages, people have fun with it that are interested in self-reflection and kind of like playing with the source energy that's always around us in the universe. So
I love that, it's how to live from love. And there is like a book before the cards, and then it explains you how to use the cards. And which is important because some people, this might be the first time they've ever used any kind of wisdom cards, oracle cards, whatever it is. And so I love that you explain it. And then, like, this is a book. So again, I'm showing this to the podcast people, sorry, but it is like, it comes with a fairly, substantial book, and then each card is alphabetical, which I appreciate. Some of the decks, when it's not alphabetical and you're like, I can't find the card name. So your cards are all
numbered.
What's that?
Yeah, and numbered. The organizational fiend in me is like, gotta be easy. And the color tabs.
Oh, the color
It's
tabs.
320 pages, so it's like
love it.
the color coded tabs that go with the numbers, so you can look it up by the number on the card, or you can look it up alphabetically. Yeah.
It's literally one of the best, like, user-friendly decks I've ever received. And it's just so beautiful. And the card, I like this size too, because again, for my daughter who's, younger with smaller hands, like they feel good in her hands. They have a nice texture. And then, so I was shuffling the decks. I wanted to grab a card, and I got a card that says generosity. So generosity, I'm just reading from the book. Generosity comes from a place of abundance within our own spirit. And then you go into quite a good explanation of generosity. And then I love how you have what would love do, and then practice with your thoughts, practice with your words, and practice with your deeds, so you can actually do something. And then there's dedication, affirmations. Like, this is quite what I love is that you can pick and choose how deep you're going to go with a card in a day. And you've given us so many options. Now, I do have a question that I've wanted to ask you for a while. So why are there 3 brackets around love, like surrounding love?
Oh, yeah. So, I'm such a visual person, and I feel like this project is about people spreading love and sharing love the love they have in their hearts with others. And it's like the ripple effect. So for me, it was like representing this, like almost like a vibration of love, like out into the world, this ripple effect. And I call everybody that, practices, like, it's like they're love spreaders. So, I mean,
Oh my gosh.
right?
Between you and the love spreaders and me and the gratitude ambassadors, like, I think we got it covered.
We got it
We
covered.
got it covered. I
Yeah.
was curious. I was like, because that's in your Instagram profile. It's on the book. I was like, there's a meaning to it. And it's interesting because I'll tell you all a little secret. When I do a podcast, I make a few notes on my guest and I put it on a sticky note in front of me. So I'm not looking down at notes. It's whatever I need, it's in front of me. And I wrote love the way that you wrote it. And all of a sudden, when I wrote it that way and looked at it in that way, I actually understood what it was. Whereas before I'd been like, what? I don't quite understand. But when I wrote it, it looks like love is literally reverberating.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's,
the point. Good. I'm
yeah.
glad you got it. Like and it's like, I think, especially now, we all need to love ourselves. And the cards are each an expression of love, right? So there's patience and joy, gratitude,
My
delegate.
favorite card is the
I
gratitude.
know, right? It is actually one of my favorite hearts that I painted. Intention. So there's so many
Yeah.
ways to
Wisdom.
express love, right?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I was like, I don't know, I've got a deck I'm using, I'm really happy with it. And then I got yours, and like it took me a minute to kind of get into it because I was like, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty, And then as soon as I kind of dove into it, I'm like, I get this deck and I love it. And um, I love the work that you put into it. And I love that it's like a combination, as you said, of your art and your words and just bringing everything together. I think that's amazing. Now, you told me that you love to bring people together. So you've put together a private Facebook group. Tell us what happens in there.
Well, a lot of the things that you mentioned were because of my private Facebook group. So it's, for me, this was a love project, right? So it's my full-time thing now. But when I started it, it was like, I'm not allowed to work on this project unless I am totally in the mindset of love, because I need to become it. This I created for me, right? Like for me to practice as a human, having a spiritual experience on this planet. Like I need to remember this every second of every day as often as I can. So I started with a few friends that I said, hey guys, like I need some help. I was in a mastermind group, and I said, anybody want to come along on this ride with me and give me their feedback? If you like cards and you want to play with them, like, and so I did. Like, so for 2 years, maybe 3, I literally, like, I played with them. I would do card readings for them. I'm like, because it was in my head and I needed to get it out. And it was like, when I was trying to explain it to like my dad or my family, they were like, that sounds good, Star. Like, I don't know what you're doing, but okay. Like,
Yeah, I can
you know,
imagine that
and
conversation, right?
and
Like,
then it was
what is
like,
this?
I have this, it's like how to get it
Yeah.
out. So they helped me pick the size of the cards.
Oh,
They
okay.
helped me pick the logo. They gave me their input. Like, so I would create something and I'm like, they're like, I don't like that. It doesn't make sense. Or can you do this or that? And I'd be like, okay. So it's really was tested by the users, not just what was in my head and what I wanted to create. And it was a hell yes for them about the size of the cards.
Yeah, I love the care in the whole packaging of it, like the way it's put together, the tenting of so you can put your card there. There is a real beauty about the way that the whole thing is put together. And I think there's so much care in this project, and I really see that. And I think that's what really attracted me to it, is the amount of care and the love. Now, you also, I don't know if this came before or after the cards, but you created something called the stars method. So was
Yeah.
that before or after this project, or
Well,
during?
it was all a part of it. So,
Okay.
and definitely, what I've like, so I just basically looked at my life and said, what is it that has always made me happy? And it's literally the method of, in the book, Like we create our happiness, and we have to do certain things to live into love. So we have I have so I have that free Facebook group for anybody who wants to
Yeah.
join. It's just called Stars What Would Love Do. And we have like sheets and stuff in there for you to do. I do card readings, but the stars method is really just essentially the book, right? It's like the method that we go through. And, when you look at each card, I take you through it. So it's like, I give, the antidote. So like gratitude is the antidote for miserliness, right? Or for feeling lack or feeling less than, right? So it's like these understanding the process. So the star method is really something that we've been, I found over the method of the days. And I'm just looking at something here. Like, anyway.
Yeah, I think this is great that you brought everything together in such a way that, you connected a way of teaching, being from a teaching past, to a way of your written work, to a way of a daily practice. And for me, that's a big part of what gratitude is all about, is having a daily practice of gratitude. And you, I can see, are really aligned with having that daily practice. Like I'll say it again, intentionally choose to make love a habit. And what I think is so interesting, and I've been reading about this more and more, is that love, we tend to think about love as like a romantic thing, or we love our children. But what I understand it is that love is actually so much more than that. And it's really the energy that can transmute the world in a way that we might not have ever thought of before. I was reading it I don't know if you've read The Way of the Wizard by Deepak Chopra.
I haven't read that yet. Is it
Oh,
good?
it's an oldie, but a goodie. I just like uncovered it. You know, when you like go through your books and you're like, oh, this book I haven't read in forever. It's 25 years old. So amazing, Star, because he really does talk about, the wizard talks about love being this like force
Oh,
and
wow.
this
Okay.
like energy that we don't, most humans, right? We're having a spiritual being having a human experience, don't understand that it's so much more. So, tell me a little bit about more, like when you say the word love, when you are helping people to get into that place of love every day, what is that for Star?
It's I think that in our modern society, we misunderstand love. And for me, what it is just to be in that place of, I would describe it as a feeling, right? Like a positive feeling, right? Love always makes you feel better, right? I've never met a problem that I can't fix, no matter how tragic or horrible. Love is the antidote for all our human problems, at least every human problem I've ever experienced. And I do it imperfectly. So I need reminders to get myself into that energy space. It's the same thing of what gratitude does, any virtue. And I don't mean like, I mean virtue in the sense of virtue, not virtue in sexual.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Like anything that's pure
Yeah.
from the heart is
Yeah.
going to heal, period. And it's like, it can't be mixed with anger or spite or bitterness or so much arrogance or pride, because all those things, all those feelings that I've described that are icky, it's like, or lack or miserliness or not enough feeling, like all of those feelings, they're just going to create suffering for us. And so I think what we tell ourselves, what we speak to ourselves in our own private spaces, in our quiet moments when we are with ourselves, we will create in feelings. And that's why the body is a wisdom vessel that is the tuning fork for our lives. If we want to live a life we absolutely love, we need to speak it. We need to be it. We need to embody it through our thoughts, words, and deeds. And everything starts with intention and thoughts. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that talk about this, Joe Dispenza and Marissa so-and-so and Brene Brown studies literally this stuff like virtue and gives science is catching up with kind of these truths that have always been true, right? But we have to have the courage to actually apply them in our lives and see for ourselves, like, how does this land for me? Don't take my word for it. Like, we've got to practice this in our own experience. And that's what the cards are, is a tool for me and anyone else who cares to join me in practicing it. And a lot of people that use my cards are not card people. Like they're not tarot card, wisdom, oracle. They don't even know about that. Like I had to, I wasn't really when I started. I'd done a little here and there, but there's a whole world of people that on Kickstarter is where I launched it. Right. I did a lot of research. I probably bought 30 decks from artists. I bought this grief deck that I'm waiting to come in. Grief deck, like that's amazing. Like
it's a whole world.
It's a whole world.
In my world that I live in, I have several people that are angel card readers. So I got into this card world a number of years ago. And then one of my mentors, actually, she does a really cool practice called body code, which is, it's emotion code, but even more so. And so she does body code practice as well. And then every time I say something, she'll like, did you pull a card? I'm like, no, I'll just get a card. I actually can't wait to share this with her, because I told her I was interviewing you today. I said, you have to check out this deck, because it's what I do love. Like what you said is it's kind of a deck for everybody. And it's a good intro deck, because it's like words, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have, like, my deck has like words like starseed and Lemuria and, Mitukin. Like if you've never had a deck before, you're like, I don't know what that means.
Like I'm not resonating. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. This is like, we're talking about other planets. Okay. So that's not my category. It might be for some people.
There's cards for everything. That's the thing that's so cool to me. It's
so
like
cool. And but I love too that there's so many cards. And like I said, I love that it's like, it's simple. I have the word and I have a quote, and then I decide how much I want to dig into the practice. You mentioned about the truths that have always been there, and we're bringing them back. We're reminding ourselves of it. So one book that I'm studying right now, so I'm studying this I work with this amazing group of women and men. We meet every day. We work together. We do mindset. We do physical activity. And we are studying Think and Grow Rich, the original Napoleon Hill. Now, we can be critical of Napoleon Hill for, being really male dominated and all that, but that was his time. And he wrote and studied from that perspective. And the truths that he found are still applicable today. And this whole thoughts become things, like that really is like, if you're going to take one thing from Think and Grow Rich, it's like your thoughts are literally designing your future. And I feel that's like when we choose love as our thought, everything that comes after that is so powerful. So
I like that book. Actually, I read that. I gave that book away to so many people. Like it's a great book.
It is. And sometimes
there's a lot to learn from it. It's simply written.
It's older.
He's actually also wrote some other books that are really worth diving into also, but not for the faint of heart. But I think all of them, like Zig Ziglar and Leo Buscaglia, I don't know if you ever remember him. He was all about love. I was a kid, like watching my mom watch, Leo.
Norman Vincent Price, I think, was the one who inspired.
So, but the truth is that, none of the stuff that I teach or that I share is new. It's just like, it resonates because it's true, right? I'm just happen to be a marketer and a packager and my own experience in my own way. I tried to cut out as much of the fat as possible to make it short, sweet, and to the point. And if you're a writer and listening, you understand how much work it is to make something meaningful and short.
Yeah. Speaking of short, I just took a look at our clock and realized we've been chatting for quite some time.
Oh,
So,
la la la
oh,
la.
Scar. Okay. Listen, before I wrap things up, what I just want to hear from you is, can you share with me? So you do all these beautiful love practices, and maybe your gratitude practices are really all wrapped into one, but is there anything specifically that you do that's a specific gratitude type practice?
I have a morning page that I do. It's called Happy as a Habit that I've been doing. And it's just a sheet that I created for myself. And I do a body check-in. Like, how am I doing? Like, I think you have to first recognize where I'm at. Like, it's a good day. I'm feeling really full. It's a not a great day, right? And I got to do some work. So then it's like, oh, I got to do some work. So I'm going to focus. Maybe I'm going to think about my friend or my friend who's suffering or in grief, and I'm going to just send some energy to her. Or, like, I literally, it changes every day. I pull a card for myself. And then I think about it. So I'll pick thoughts, words, or deeds, and that'll be what I practice. I do a brain dump because I always have so many creative ideas going on. So if something comes up, like, and I just fill this sheet out, and then I can start out my day on the right set, and I meditate. I'm a meditator. I'm a meditator. I've been a meditation teacher for over 10 years. And I think, meditation helps me live in love. So it's really just bringing that feeling to my heart center. All meditation is, people think meditation is hard. They're like, I can't do it. I'm like, yes, you can. Everybody does it. If you've had any good feelings, you've meditated. That's what meditation does, is bring good feelings. It's protection. It's mental protection. That's what meditation does. That's what love does. That's what gratitude does. So those are my practices. I have other practices that I do tools in my toolbox when I need them, but essentially it's like, what are the words I'm telling myself? And if I need to change the story and the language around that to create a painted picture that is more of the outcome I want, then I do that. So, it's powerful. Words are powerful.
I've said it many times on this podcast. Your word is your wand, right?
Yes, that's beautiful.
Word is
Yeah.
your wand.
Yeah.
Oh, Star,
I
I knew this would be juicy, but it's juicy on a level that I hadn't expected. I know we went really deep in some places, and that's okay, because there are so many pieces of wisdom. Like, I'm excited to listen to this again. So I'm sure our listeners will feel the same way. Now, from what I understand, it's pretty easy to find you. Just go to your website.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep. Star Ladin, Ladin. So it's L as in love, D as in do, IN.com. So, and there's all sorts of stuff on there. So,
and I found you through Instagram, which I love because you're always sharing your cards, but little bits and pieces of your life too. And it's a great way to connect. I love Instagram because of the way that we connect really through our images and our words, and a lot less drama than other places. But we'll also be finding each other on Facebook. I'm excited to be a part of your community that you've created through your private Facebook group. And just, I can't wait to share this with our community and our audience. So thank you so, so much, Star.
thank you so much, Julie, for, sharing me and meeting you. I can't wait to see where we go next.
I agree, my friend. I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.